UFC 282 back again, meat boy, and fresh off a nice week, right? You went 7-0, 4-3 over here. Obviously, a successful meat lock, and another one coming in this one. But to get things started, this is a fun 145 contest between Billy Quarantillo, aka Billy Q, as he takes on Alexander Hernandez, who we have known as a kind of like lightweight staple for the last few years or so. I mean, talk about a guy making an immediate impact right away. He debuted against Beneil Dariush, a plus 400 underdog, and he absolutely slept Benny Dariush in the first 40 seconds. And right away, Alexander Hernandez opened a lot of eyes as to who this kid from Texas was. And since then, it's been a little bit rough, right? I mean, he's 5-4 in the UFC. He's coming in off a most recent loss to Renato Moicano, but we know Moicano, who has kind of peaked, or maybe not peaked, but has turned a corner and is ascending for sure. So bad timing to run into Renato Moicano, and he did pick up that nice win against Mike Breeden before that. Mike Breeden, obviously not a good UFC fighter, and he lost that close one to Thiago Moises, beat Chris Gritzmacher before that. So it's the kind of thing where Hernandez is losing two tough fighters, but is beating the bums that go up against him. And in this one, he's not getting any bum, right? He's getting Billy Q, who is 4-2 in the UFC, 16-4 overall, and Billy Q will be coming into this one as a minus 165 favorite to Hernandez's plus 140 dog, and makes sense. I mean, the last time we saw Billy Q, it was against Shane Burgos. It was only a few months ago, and it was a fight where Shane Burgos ended up winning on the judges' scorecards. But I know a lot of people thought Billy Q could have earned the W in that one. It was a razor-thin fight, and one where it honestly made sense for either guy to get the W. But a good showing from Billy Q despite the L, and before that, he absolutely smoked Gabriel Benitez. He finished him in the third round, and that was pretty impressive because Billy Q in the UFC did have that win over Kyle Nelson, but he decision spiked Carlisle. So I was just impressed that he was able to get that finish over such a guy like Mowgli. And his only other loss was to Gavin Tucker. So what are your thoughts on this one? Do you think Alexander Hernandez is going to find his new home at 145 and he's ready to go on a run? Or is Billy Q going to stop it right in its tracks before it even begins? Who are you taking?
Yeah, this is such a fun matchup. Alexander the Great Ape, as I guess his new name is, he's usually in a pretty, exciting fights, win or lose. He brings it, right? So you got to respect him for that. But I think Billy Q is going to absolutely maul him and say, "Welcome to the 145 division." You should have stayed at 155, because I don't know. I just think Billy Q has been looking really good, even though he's coming off that loss. But it's versus Shane Burgos, and arguably even could have won that fight. It's a very close fight, very competitive, and no shame in losing to Shane. Shane's an absolute savage. Um, but yeah, I think this is going to be pretty dominant from beginning to end. But Alexander, he's kind of like that freak where it's like, man, this guy has a physique and athleticism of, like, I don't know, he's just insane. But yet he just doesn't know how to use it, it seems sometimes. But then, like you said, he knocks out Benny Dariush, like, and then like it just. But then he loses to Cowboy Cerrone. If sure it was peak Cowboy, but Alex Hernandez is young. He's hungry. He should be mauling everybody in that division. And sadly, he just hasn't been. He's been, did he wake up today or did he not? Which Alex are we getting? For that reason, I just can't take him. He's too much of a liability, in my opinion. Now, if he wins, it won't surprise me. The dude is, a specimen. But I think Billy Q is way more consistent with his skill and growth, where Hernandez looks like top fighter and then the biggest bum in the UFC. You just don't know what you're going to get. So I got to go with my boy Billy Q. I really like what he's been doing compared to Alex. I think the Great Apes time is done.
Yeah, I think you make some great points. Like it's tough to expect the proper version of Hernandez. I mean, he's as we mentioned, he came into the UFC, smoked Benny Dariush, and then picks up a nice win over Olivier Aubin Mercier before that. And Aubin Mercier, we saw 2 weeks ago become a millionaire over in PFL. So 2-0, great, two great wins, and then since then his only wins again are Mike Breeden, Chris Gritzmacher, and then he beat Francisco Trinaldo, but air quotes beat him. Most people thought Trinaldo won that fight. It was a hometown contest for Hernandez, and I don't know. You wonder if the judges factored into that one a little bit because that should have been another L for Alexander Hernandez. And I know most view that fight in that regard. So tough to know what you're getting with him, to your point. And if we look at Tapology, only 23% is trust in the grade 8. They think that, since he decided to move down to 145 all the way back in March, that perhaps this nine-month prep period has really gotten himself physically prepped and just physically and mentally ready to fight at this new weight class. But 77% is rolling with Billy Q. Most by decision. Do you think that this fight goes the distance, or any chance either guy gets a finish? And if so, do you think it's more likely Billy Q gets a finish, or is Hernandez's only pathway maybe to get a YOLO KO? Do you see this going the distance?
Yeah, I think Hernandez's only path is a KO. I think Billy can get a sub KO or a decision. Um, Alexander has some bombs, that's for sure. He can throw some hard hands. It's just if he can connect or hit the right, spots. It seems that whenever he's throwing those meat bombs, he just doesn't really hit the button. He hits. It looks like it hits, but yet nothing happens. So he's just missing off here and there. While Billy Q puts on the pressure, he's not scared of a dog fight. Dude's a killer. Let's be honest. Like, he is not scared to get hit, and he's not scared to give it back 2 times. So I just see Billy really just taking advantage anywhere this goes. But it's going to be interesting to see, Hernandez, like, maybe the 145 debut is the holy grail, and he's going to be the GOAT of 145. You really don't know when these guys go up and down in weight. It's just, I can only take what I've seen so far, but maybe, this is a new reborn. The great ape is here and here to stay. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he looks. Is he going to look depleted and dried out, or is he going to be looking very healthy, like Jose Aldo, where he drops down in weight and looks really good? So very interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, right. It's that uncertainty factor. Is he going to come down looking like Jose Aldo in peak, or is he going to come in looking like Nate Maness and get absolutely slept in 10 seconds? You never really know when these guys are dropping weight, for sure. And nonetheless, Meat, I'm going to roll with you. I'm taking Billy Q. I actually think you're around minus 165, minus 170. It's decent value for Billy Q, maybe even a parlay piece. And I think that the move to 145, perhaps in the long run, might be good for Hernandez. I mean, again, depending on what he looks like and how depleted and how much of a toll it takes on him physically. But I just think Billy Q at this point in their career is the wrong opponent to debut against, because this dude, like you mentioned, will come to absolutely scrap, right? I mean, that fight against Gabriel Benitez, that was fight of the night. That was back and forth, and he really did beat the brakes off him, but it was a bloody, gnarly war where both guys had to dig deep. And then the same thing versus Shane Burgos just a few months later, where that was an absolute dogfight. Both those guys came to throw down as well. So I'm expecting Hernandez to show up with his almost back up against the wall in some regard, but it's not going to be enough against Billy Q, who I like to likely win a decision or that patented round 3 Billy Q finish, because seems like sometimes when the fight goes into later parts of the contest, Billy Q is able to go a little bit longer, dig a little bit deeper, and can sometimes make you wilt in there. So I'm going Billy Q either by decision or 3rd round finish. Any last thoughts?
No, super excited. Can't wait. Throw in the comments who you got. You taking the Great Ape or Billy Q?